A fairly common solution for reversing sun damage on plastic, particularly Lego in this case, is letting them soak in hydrogen peroxide in sunlight. And it has a chemical reaction that restores the original color of the plastic and takes away the yellowing. So here we have two white elements, and this one is sun damaged and it has quite a yellow hue to it. And leaving it in sunlight and hydrogen peroxide will restore most of its original color. And I use this 3% solution. It takes a little bit longer, but I have more time in between checking on the bricks to make sure that they're not in the solution too long, because you can lose some of the original color, particularly on the grays and transparent pieces. Today particularly, I'm going to be testing. This is the first time for myself doing this method on printed elements. So here we have some Scout Troopers from the 1999 speeder bikes set, and their legs and arms have turned quite yellow, and their bodies a bit as well. And I'm going to try to restore those. Also, I have this Luke Skywalker figure from the original land speeder, and his tunic there is meant to be a white color, and it is quite yellowed. And various other figures from the Rescue series, Outback series, and one of the City Space series. They have all varying degrees of sun damage, and I'm going to try to repair those, and I'm going to see how the hydrogen peroxide affects the printed torsos. Also today, I'm going to be trying to repair these large UFO saucer dishes. And you can see the one on the left is quite a bit yellowed. The one on the right is closer to the intended color of the piece when it was brand new. And I'm going to leave these in the hydrogen peroxide solution in the sun and see if we can't repair the damage without damaging these printed decals too much. In order for this to work properly, the Legos have to be fully submerged in the hydrogen peroxide. So I got two containers that are identical, and in one I've drilled a series of holes in the bottom, and it keeps the pieces held down. Then I got these glass plates to keep weight on it, but it still lets the sunlight through. We will go ahead and fill this up. It's been 3 hours since I put these in. The sun has moved and this is now in shade, so I'm going to have to move it, but before I do that I'm going to look and see if any of the pieces are done. I use a 3% hydrogen peroxide solution. It takes a little bit longer, but it gives me more control when I have a mixture of bricks that have varying degrees of sun damage. I can go ahead and catch the ones that are done and not get them overdone, because you can lose color if it's left too long in the hydrogen peroxide. Three hours in and the paint on the printing seems to be fine. Painted decals are just the same before they went in. You can see it's a lot less brown. We're going to try to have that go a little bit longer. And now I'm going to rinse these off immediately. If you leave the hydrogen peroxide sitting on them, it can continue to whiten it. Now on the white pieces it doesn't matter so much, but on the gray pieces you will see little spots where the hydrogen peroxide dried on the piece. So we're going to rinse these off right away, and I'm going to move this to the sun. Okay, so we're back inside with everything de-yellowed and rinsed off. It's actually been a week since the start of the video. These figures look very good compared to how they were at the start. Ran into some weather, and so it took a week to get the right amount of sunlight. I think the Luke figure and some of the Scout bikers, they took about 9 hours of direct sunlight to restore to their proper color. As you can see, especially on this Luke figure, his torso was tan, and it is now returned to its proper white color. When you're de-yellowing the legs and the torsos, you want to make sure you move the arms and the legs so you get all of the plastic areas exposed to the sun. Now the printing was not affected except for the exception of the neon orange stripes on these rescue figures. It did get faded a little bit, but I would still rather have a little bit of faded printing than the discoloration of the yellow. So the figures worked out really well. So you can definitely de-yellow those in the hydrogen peroxide solution. Now if you let things go too long, they go to this foggy color, as you can see. So here's what that blue is supposed to look like, and it has gone a milky white film all over it. So that's what happens when you let it go too long. Now the white bricks, even when you leave them in the solution for a very long time, you don't see that obviously because it just gets more white. So it works best with the white bricks. The light gray bricks work fairly well too. You do have to be careful not to let them go too long. The large printed saucer pieces turned out very well. As you can see, there is no visible discoloration. And once again, the decals were not affected except for this bright orange color. It is slightly more peachy. But again, I would rather have the gray plastic looking nice, and the decals still look okay, and you won't be able to notice unless you were comparing one with a brand new one. So overall, I would definitely recommend giving your figures a soak in hydrogen peroxide if they have any yellowing, and I wouldn't worry about the printing at all.